Hello, my friends. Welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday for Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. This is Jennifer. As you guys can see, we are outside in the backyard because I have finished the Star Trek roll-on quilt with a huge assist from Jennifer Rolls. You can find her as Playful Piecing. I don't think she's taking customers right now, but hopefully next year she'll be able to do that again. This was a giant favor from her to me, and the quilting that she did on this was absolutely phenomenal. I just finished binding it, and when you're watching this, it's last week, because I wanted to get this in the mail on Jules's birthday. When she was here last time, I convinced her to take this quilt when I finished it, and she agreed. And so now it is done, and I'm gonna send it her way. Star Trek is something that both of our families share. Guys, my house is so full of fandom quilts. I really wanted I want this one to be used, and so I am sending it to Jules to use it. These patterns are from the 2019 Star Trek row along that we hosted on Fandom and Stitches. I designed the overall quilt layout, I designed To Boldly Go, and I designed the Deep Space Nine row. I will include all the designers in the description, and you can find all of these patterns for free, including the quilt layout. It's all free on fandomandstitches.com. This is a huge finish for me personally because this is the project I was working on in 2019 when my friend Sarah got sick and came to stay with us, and I had to put it away, and I did put it away for a very long time. I think I finished this quilt top last year. I will have to look at I'll just look back at my Talk to Me Tuesdays to see, but I think I finished the quilt top last year, and then I put it aside, and it's been sitting there ever since. But having it done completely after 6 years is phenomenal, and I'm really, really glad that it's going to get used. It's probably no surprise that every single row is paper pieced. So all of these rows are paper pieced. The To Boldly Go, I actually, the original design for that was to go across the top. And I decided, because I'd never seen Star Trek Discovery. I've never seen that one. So I decided not to include that row. And so I made this big enough for a whole row. So this is also on the website. I added it when I designed it for this quilt. It is just a bigger version of that original design. Jennifer used a very Star Trek themed quilt pattern for me, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna put a link in the description to when I finish this quilt top, because that is when I tend to talk about the project the most, is when I just finished the quilt top. That is it out here for me. Believe it or not, it is actually quite warm, and I am already getting a little bit shiny, so I am going to finish up and head inside. If I have anything else to show you guys before next week, I will insert it here. Hello, my friends, it's me from the present. I thought I would bring you a little bit from inside the sewing room. I'm on the opposite side of the room today. This is where I used to record all of my Talk to Me Tuesday videos. My design wall was here, and my sewing machine was right back here. As you can see, this is where my frame is now. I shared this with you guys when I talked about reorganizing my room a few weeks ago. And the reason I'm here is finishing the Star Trek quilt, getting that binding on, labeling it, sending it off to Jules, which she has received it, by the way, inspired me to look at my UFO list, and I knew I only had a few. The only things left on that list were my What We Do in the Shadows quilt, my 2015 Project of Doom signature quilt, which was all the signature blocks that people sent me from those who participated. I also added the X-Files quilt along, and the Princess Bride quilt along, and I don't know what else. I finished that quilt top a couple of years ago, and it definitely needs to be quilted because it has been a long time coming. And finally, I have the Pegasus quilt top that I made a couple years ago, and that's it. On my to finish list are 3 quilt tops, including this one on the frame, and then all of the quilt tops that I have made that are in my possession will be done. And I feel like getting that done before the end of the year will just kind of clear the plate for next year. I really want to do that. It's been a long time coming. I honestly don't remember the last time I had this few things in progress. I wanted to share that I did wash the Star Trek quilt before I sent it to Jules. The entire quilt was batiks except for the label. It was batiks front and back, just literally all of it. And I used 6 color catchers. There was no bleeding whatsoever. I was extraordinarily surprised because there were a few white fabrics in there and a few light colors like yellow fabrics in there. There was no bleeding whatsoever. but the color catchers looked like this. I hope this quilt provides many years of geeky snuggles. I thought since Halloween is coming that I would work on my What We Do in the Shadows quilt. And guys, I thought this quilt top was 1 year old and it is 2 years old. I designed this quilt for Fandom Stitches 2 years ago. So I'm getting it quilted. I originally was planning to do something really fancy and I changed my mind and I decided to do swirls because I love swirls. They're one of my favorite things to quilt. And this quilt is for me. I'm keeping it. And I decided finished is better than perfect. And because I haven't mentioned it, I just recently put all of the stuff on my collage wall. I missed having this wall being busy and happy and decorated, and since I can't reach it across the frame, I had to move the frame to do that, so I just didn't do it for a while. And the other thing that I needed to do was raise this power strip, which I had mentioned in a previous video. My machine was actually bumping into it when I was quilting, so I just needed to raise it like 2 inches. So I got that done, got it all decorated, and here we'll turn this over here. And I have my There and Back Again, the Hobbit quilt along quilt that we did on Fandom and Stitches in 2012, I think, 2012 or 2013. This was the first quilt along we did on Fandom and Stitches after the Project of Doom. You guys have a wonderful week, have a crafty week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.